question. You'll know this story. A fresh protest has been organised by parents in Birmingham against lessons on same-sex relations. This time, however, the school in question, Parkfield Community School, Becky Johnson. Sky's Becky Johnson joins us now live from Birmingham. Becky, please bring us up to date with this. This is an issue that just simply isn't going away in Birmingham.
That's right. This is Parkfield Community School. This is where the protests originally began. At the very start of this year, we saw some very large protests here. Parents unhappy that children are taught as part of equality lessons that it's okay to be gay. Parents saying that that goes against their religion. Now, the protests here became so large and so frequent that in March, this school paused the teaching of the No Outsiders programme. And then there was consultation with parent groups for several months. Now, last week, the school confirmed that the lessons will resume in September. They said they've devised a new programme called No Outsiders for a Faith Community. They say that takes into account some of the concerns of the parents and the sensitivities of this community. But as you can see, parents gathering here for their first protest since March, very unhappy about what the school has said. They say they hadn't agreed to those lessons resuming. They say they don't want particularly some of the youngest children being taught with storybooks that depict same-sex parents. And so they're gathering now. There was a leaflet that went round urging parents to have a peaceful protest. We know this at the other school in Birmingham where we've seen protests, Anderton Park. There is now a High Court injunction preventing protesters from holding those demonstrations right outside the school gates. So the parents here were urged in a leaflet to be peaceful. But we know that some of the parents, as part of a standoff with the school, have now been banned from the school premises. So we did see a tense situation this morning where one mum had to hand her child over. I think her uncle took her into school because she's been banned from the premises. So really, as you say, this is an issue that is simply not going away here in Birmingham. This one of two schools very much embroiled in this row.
Becky, many thanks.
Well, demonstrators have gathered outside Parkfield Community School.
Oh, we can speak to our correspondent who's been following this story in recent weeks and months, Becky Johnson, outside that school now, Becky. There was these protests which have come and gone to some degree and been the subject of legal action. What about this one?
Yeah, these protests really aren't going away. This is Parkfield Community School. So this is the school where these protests against teaching about same-sex relationships began. We saw several very large protests outside this school at the beginning of the year. And then in March, the school decided to pause the teaching of its No Outsiders programme. That's a series of lessons about equality so that they could consult with parents. And that stopped the protests for a few months. But then last week, the school came out and said, look, we are going to restart these lessons in September. They said that they have slightly tweaked the programme. It's called No Outsiders for a Faith Community. At this school, more than 98% of the pupils are Muslim. And the parents say that they weren't consulted on this. They say they didn't vote for the new programme and they're very angry about it. And a group of them gathered outside the school gates after they dropped off their children this morning. One of the parents was being very vocal, telling other parents that they do not want the school teaching their children that it's okay to be gay, when in Islam, he said, that's not what they believe. And the parents were saying, he was urging them actually not to bring their children into school tomorrow, to boycott the school once again, something that we saw them do earlier in the year. Now, the protesters that gathered were urged by the protest leaders to be peaceful. Now, that's after another school in Birmingham, Anderton Park Primary, that has seen many very similar protests in recent weeks. Birmingham City Council got a High Court injunction against those protesters, arguing that the protests were no longer peaceful. So those protesters aren't able to hold their demonstrations right outside the school gates. So the group that gathered here this morning were warned to be peaceful. But like I say, it's a situation that is not going away. And actually, there was a representative from the National Union of Head Teachers went into the school to speak to staff this morning. And he said to me that the government needs to be specific about what schools should and shouldn't teach, because at the moment it's left in large part up to the discretion of the head teachers. And, you know, I think there are head teachers, certainly the ones that I've spoken to, who feel in a way that they are being left hung out to dry, because whatever decision they make, they're the ones the parents blame for it, and then they see the demonstrations start again. So, yeah, a situation that is not going away in this city.
No, Becky, thanks very much.